Let's talk about how to make this white background transparent. We won't use hexadecimal code for this. Instead, we'll use RGB. So follow along. Open style.css and on line 13, change 0.8 to 0.5. This is the third way you can include color. To reiterate, the most common way is to use hexadecimal, like here. RGBA stands for red, green, blue, and the A is for alpha. This white background color is 255, 255, 255. That's the red, green, blue part, and the 0.5 is the opacity. So if I make it 1, that sets it to full opacity. Save style.css, refresh your homepage, and you can see background is even more opaque now. 0.8 would be a little less opaque, and 0.5 is half opacity. So you could get your RGB values from Google and other sources like I showed you earlier. All you have to do is select the color you want, copy and paste your RGB value over to your CSS file, like I showed you earlier, and just make sure it's formatted properly, just like this, and then you refresh your homepage, and you can see that worked. So I'm going to leave it as I had it at the previous color, but I'll leave it at half opacity so you can see the background coming through. Now if you want your background to have different transparencies, you know how to use RGBA to do so. Let's talk about fonts. If not otherwise specified, by default, Times New Roman is often chosen as the default font. To change this, you can add font family to the body, and then you could change the font. For example, I could change the font to Arial. Save style.css. Refresh the homepage. All the text in the body now has its font as Arial. In the past, the font selection was limited to only about 19 web fonts. Now we have access to thousands of fonts on the web. That gives designers a lot of freedom. I'm going to show you how to access these other fonts. So if you go to cssfontstack.com, this shows all the web-safe fonts, meaning that you can feel safe knowing that these will work on any browser. Let's try out Monaco. Click on Monaco, copy the CSS font family line, open style.css, and delete the old font family on line 4 and paste in the new one. All these fonts after Monaco are fallback fonts. This means that if the browser doesn't recognize the first font, it will use the next one until it finds one it recognizes. Usually you just choose one or two fallback fonts. So I'm just going to delete these two in the middle and just leave it like that. I'm going to use Helvetica, so just click on Helvetica, copy the CSS, open style.css and paste it in. Make sure you have the comma, the semicolon, and the colon like usual. Save style.css. Now we have Helvetica as the font on our homepage. In this video, I showed you how to add custom fonts to your website. I'm going to show you how to round the corners of this div by using border radius. What this will be doing is putting the border radius in a container to make these corners round. Open style.css. You can make your corners rounded by adjusting in pixels. We'll change the border radius to 10 pixels. Type in .container border-radius 10 pixels. Save style.css. Refresh your homepage. The division class container now has rounded borders. Feel free to play around with different pixels to see what you like. For now, I'm just going to stick with this. In this tutorial, we gave this container rounded borders using some CSS and setting the border radius